Introduction to the hidden gems on dealer lots. There are 5 SUVs sitting on dealer lots right now collecting dust. Salespeople are practically begging people to test drive them, offering discounts that would have been unthinkable 2 years ago. And every single one of them will outlast the flashy crossover you just financed for $45,000. These are not compromised vehicles. These are not fixer-uppers. I am talking about SUVs with half-a-million-mile powertrains, body-on-frame construction that laughs at potholes, and the kind of engineering that makes mechanics smile when they pop the hood. They are sitting there unsold because people would rather overpay for a RAV4 with a 6-month waitlist than look at something that does not have a trending TikTok hashtag. After over 2 decades of working on these things, I have watched the same story play out again and again. A customer comes in driving a brand new something that is already falling apart. I ask what they cross-shopped. They never even looked at the vehicles I am about to show you, not once. SUV number 1 on this list, the one I am going deepest on, has the highest percentage of units reaching 200,000 miles of any SUV ever studied. Higher than the Land Cruiser, higher than the 4Runner, and it is sitting on lots right now with thousands in discounts. Stay until the end for that one. Let's get into it. Top 1 Ford Expedition. Top 1 is the Ford Expedition. This is a full-size 3-row, body-on-frame SUV built on the same platform as the best-selling vehicle in American history, and dealers cannot move them fast enough. Current inventory data shows the Expedition sitting on lots for well over 100 days in most markets, with some trims pushing past 200 days. That is double the industry average. Prices are softening, incentives are climbing, and nobody's paying attention. I had a customer come in last spring, a guy in his mid-50s who was towing a 600-pound camper with a Chevy Traverse. I am not making that up. The transmission was slipping at 74,000 miles, and he wanted to know if it was worth fixing. I looked at him and told him he had been towing with a vehicle that was never designed to tow and that we should fix the real problem. I pulled up a 2019 Ford Expedition XLT with 72,000 miles for $27,500. Body on frame, 9,300-pound tow rating. He bought it. That was 14 months ago. He just crossed 115,000 miles. Total unscheduled repairs. $38 for a blend door actuator. He replaced himself in a parking lot with a YouTube video and a 10mm socket. Here is what people get wrong about the Expedition. They hear 3.5-liter V6 and assume it is underpowered. This is the second-generation 3.5-liter EcoBoost, the same engine family that powers the Ford GT supercar and the F-150 Raptor. In the Expedition, it makes between 375 and 440 horsepower, depending on the trim, with up to 510 pound-feet of torque. That is more torque than most V8 engines in the segment. Ford addressed nearly every issue from the first-generation EcoBoost when they redesigned this engine for 2017. They added port injection alongside direct injection, which largely eliminates the carbon buildup problem that plagued the earlier motors. They upgraded the turbochargers with electronically actuated wastegates for better response and durability. And they paired the engine with a 10-speed automatic transmission that shifts so smoothly you forget it has that many gears. Owners on forums report 200,000 miles regularly, and some have pushed well past 300,000 miles. One F-150 owner with the same engine reported 351,000 miles changing oil every 10,000 miles with nothing but basic maintenance. Is the engine bulletproof? No engine is. But the second-generation 3.5-liter EcoBoost is far more durable than its reputation suggests. It is turbo maintenance that scares people away, which is exactly why these sit on lots, while Tahoes sell for $5,000 more. The Expedition is built on a fully boxed, high-strength steel frame. This is not a car-based crossover. It is a truck underneath designed to absorb punishment for decades. An iSeeCars study ranked the Expedition among the top SUVs most likely to reach 200,000 miles right alongside the Tahoe and the Suburban. Average annual maintenance cost, according to RepairPal, is around $861. That is not cheap, but for a full-size SUV that seats 8 and tows nearly 5 tons, it is competitive. The Tahoe comes in around $804, so the difference is negligible. If you are shopping for one, here is what to check. First, listen for timing chain rattle on cold starts. Early first-generation EcoBoost models from 2010 to 2016 had chain stretch issues. The second-generation engines from 2017 onward are significantly improved, but still, listen. Second, check the turbocharger coolant lines. These can develop small leaks around 100,000 miles. Look for coolant residue around the turbos. It is a $300 to $500 fix, not a disaster, but use it to negotiate. Third, test the transmission in tow haul mode. Shift it through all the gears manually. Any harsh shifts or hesitation, walk away. Who should buy this? Anyone towing more than 5,000 pounds regularly? Anyone who needs legitimate three-row space for adults? Not the joke third rows you find in mid-size crossovers. And anyone smart enough to realize that a body-on-frame Ford SUV sharing DNA with the F-150 is going to outlast anything built on a car platform. Top 2, Nissan Armada. If you think the Expedition is overlooked, this next SUV is practically invisible. Dealers are giving these away compared to what they are actually worth. The drivetrain shares DNA with one of the most legendary off-road vehicles on the planet. Number 4, the Nissan Armada. I know what you are thinking. Nissan, the brand known for continuously variable transmissions that fail at 80,000 miles. Hear me out, because the Armada is not that Nissan. The Armada has nothing in common with the Altima or the Rogue. It shares its platform with the Nissan Patrol, the vehicle that the United Nations, the Red Cross, and half of the Middle East rely on to survive actual deserts. The Patrol has been in production since 1951, and it is considered one of the most durable vehicles ever manufactured. The Armada is the American version of that truck. The heart of the Armada is the VK6 5.6-liter V8. This engine features an all-aluminum block with ductile iron cylinder liners, dual overhead cams, and a forged crankshaft. The bottom end of this engine is so overbuilt that performance builders have pushed it past 1,900 horsepower on the stock block in crank. Let that sink in. The engine sitting in a $35,000 used Armada on your local lot right now has internals strong enough to handle nearly 2,000 horsepower. On stock power, these things are barely working. I had a fleet customer, a shuttle service company, bring in 3 2018 Armadas last year for annual inspections. The highest mileage one had 201,000 miles. All 3 were on original transmissions. All 3 passed inspection with nothing but maintenance items: brakes, fluids, filters. The owner told me he picked Armadas specifically because his Suburbans were costing him more in repairs by 150,000 miles. These trucks are proven in real-world high-mileage service. Owners commonly report exceeding 200,000 miles, and many push past 300,000 miles. The VK56 uses a timing chain, not a belt, so there is no 100,000-mile replacement interval eating into your wallet. The 7-speed automatic in the second-generation Armada from 2017 onward is smooth and proven. Now, here is where the value gets ridiculous. A 2019 Nissan Armada Platinum with 70,000 miles. You are looking at $24,000 to $28,000. A 2019 Chevrolet Tahoe LTZ with the same miles is $34,000 to $39,000. That is a $10,000 difference for an SUV with comparable interior space, a bigger engine, and a drivetrain derived from the Patrol. The Armada depreciates like a Nissan, but performs like a Land Cruiser. RepairPal rates the Armada 3.5 out of 5 for reliability, and annual maintenance costs average around $727. Compare that to the Tahoe at $804 and the Sequoia at $642, and the Armada lands right in the sweet spot of affordable to maintain and built like a vault. When shopping for an Armada, check these things. First, check the exhaust manifolds. The first-generation Armadas from 2004 to 2015 are known for cracked exhaust manifolds. It is not catastrophic, but it creates an annoying exhaust leak. Budget $600 to $1,000 if it has not been addressed. Second, use quality fuel. The VK56 is sensitive to fuel quality, and bad fuel can damage the catalytic converters over time. If you see a check engine light for catalyst efficiency, ask for a compression test before you buy. Third, check the differential. These are heavy SUVs, and the rear differential can develop a whine if the fluid was never changed. Listen on the test drive at highway speed. Silence is good. Any whining means maintenance was neglected, and you should either negotiate hard or walk away. Who should buy it? Budget-conscious families who want full-size capability without full-size Toyota or GM pricing. Towing enthusiasts. The Armada pulls 500 pounds. And anyone who has done enough research to know that the Patrol platform is one of the most durable things on four wheels. Top 3 Chevrolet Tahoe. Top 3 is the American workhorse, the SUV that has been in continuous production longer than any vehicle nameplate in history. And right now, high sticker prices are pushing buyers away, which means inventory is building and deals are there for the taking. Number 3, the Chevrolet Tahoe. Let me start with a story that will frame everything I'm about to tell you. A buddy of mine runs a limousine and livery service. He has been through everything. Town cars, Escalades, Yukons, Navigators. 5 years ago, he switched his entire fleet to Chevy Tahoes with the 5.3-liter V8. I asked him why. He said, because I got tired of buying transmissions for the Escalades at 180,000 miles, and the Tahoe uses the same engine without the air ride suspension that costs $3,000 when it fails. He currently has a 2015 in his fleet with 387,000 miles on the original engine and transmission, not rebuilt, original. He changes the oil every 5,000 miles with a conventional blend, rotates tires, and replaces brakes when the pads wear out. That is it. The Chevrolet small block V8 is arguably the most proven engine architecture in automotive history. The 5.3-liter Vortec and its successor, the L84 Ecotec 3, are direct descendants of an engine family that has been refined for over 60 years. These engines use a traditional pushrod overhead valve design, which means fewer moving parts than the dual overhead cam engines and competitors. Fewer parts, fewer things to break. An IC Cars study analyzing over 2 million vehicles found that the Suburban, which shares its powertrain with the Tahoe, ranks among the top 5 vehicles most likely to reach 250,000 miles. The top 1% of Suburbans in the study were still being driven at nearly 300,000 miles, and that is only what was measured, not the maximum these vehicles can achieve. Owners across every forum you can find report 300,000 to 400,000 miles. One owner of a 2003 Tahoe Z71 with the 5.3 reported 376,000 miles with the original transmission while towing a 4,000-pound boat for over 100,000 of those miles. Now, I have to be honest about one thing. GM introduced active fuel management in 2007 and later dynamic fuel management, which allows the engine to deactivate cylinders for fuel efficiency. Some owners have experienced lifter failures related to this system, particularly in engines built between 2014 and 2020. It is a known issue, and if you are buying used, it is worth checking for. The fix, if needed, is roughly $2,500 to $4,000, depending on how many lifters are affected. It is not a reason to avoid the Tahoe entirely, but it is a reason to get a pre-purchase inspection and listen for any ticking at startup. The body-on-frame construction is tank-like. The Tahoe rides on a fully boxed perimeter frame with hydroformed steel sections. This is the same fundamental construction used in the Silverado, Sierra, and every heavy-duty GM truck. It is designed to absorb abuse for decades. Here is where the math gets interesting for buyers right now. The 2025 Tahoe starts around $58,000, but high transaction prices are keeping some models on lots longer than usual. Dealers are starting to offer real incentives. On the used side, a 2020 Tahoe LT with 80,000 miles costs $32,000 to $37,000. That sounds like a lot until you consider that you are buying more than 200,000 miles of remaining life. Your cost per remaining mile drops below 15 cents. Try finding that math in a $42,000 3-year-old Explorer. If you are inspecting a used Tahoe, here is my checklist. First, check the oil. Pull the dipstick and look for any metallic flakes or unusually dark oil. If the oil was not changed regularly, the lifter issue I mentioned becomes much more likely. Second, start the engine cold. If you hear a ticking or tapping that fades after 30 seconds, that is likely a lifter. If it persists, get it inspected before buying. Third, crawl under the vehicle and look at the frame. Tahoes in northern climates can develop surface rust on the frame. Surface rust is normal. Flaking or scaling rust is a deal breaker. Fourth, check the air ride suspension if equipped. Bounce each corner of the vehicle. If it sags or does not return evenly, factor in $1,200 to $1,800 for air spring replacement or convert to traditional shocks for about $800. Top 4 Toyota 4Runner. Let's keep going because Top 4 is a vehicle that has earned legendary status in the shop. The new model is sitting on dealer lots right now with legitimate discounts. Number 2, the Toyota 4Runner. This is the SUV that mechanics pass down to their kids, the one that gets traded between families like an heirloom because nobody can kill it. Right now, the 2025 4Runner is sitting on dealer lots with excess inventory because Toyota redesigned it, raised the price, and buyers are hesitating. That hesitation is your opportunity. The new sixth-generation 4Runner that launched for 2025 moved to a 2.4-liter turbocharged four-cylinder hybrid powertrain, making 326 horsepower, replacing the legendary 4.0-liter V6 that powered the previous generation for 15 years. That engine change made loyalists nervous. The higher starting price, now above $40,000, pushed casual buyers toward cheaper competitors. The result is dealers are sitting on 4Runner inventory for the first time in years. Auto experts have noted significant excess inventory because buyers perceive the new platform as untested, while the price now competes with vehicles offering more luxury features. But here is what the doubters are missing. The new 4Runner still rides on a body-on-frame platform shared with the new Tacoma. It is still built to go places that would destroy a crossover. And Toyota's track record with this nameplate is not a guess. It is a guarantee written in 2 decades of data. The 5th-generation 4Runner from 2010 to 2024 had a J.D. Power reliability rating of 87 out of 100. According to IC Cars, just under 5% of all 4Runners sold had already clocked over 200,000 miles. Average annual maintenance costs are $540 according to RepairPal. That is among the lowest in the entire SUV segment, and the probability of a major repair in any given year is lower than the segment average. I have a customer, a retired firefighter, who bought a 2010 4Runner SR5 new. He drove it every single day for 14 years when he traded it in last year. The odometer read 328,000 miles. The engine had never been opened. The transmission had never been serviced beyond fluid changes. He replaced the water pump at 210,000 miles, the starter at 260,000 miles, and he did 2 sets of brake pads. That was it. Total maintenance cost over the life of the vehicle outside of oil changes, tires, and brakes was under $1,400. The dealer gave him $8,500 on trade-in at 328,000 miles. Name another SUV that holds $8,500 at that mileage. The 4.0-liter 1GR FE V6 that powered the 5th-generation 4Runner is a naturally aspirated, chain-driven, dual overhead cam engine that Toyota used across the Tacoma, FJ Cruiser, and International Land Cruiser Prado. There are no turbos to fail, no timing belt to replace, and no direct injection carbon buildup issues. It just works. It makes 270 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque. That is not going to win any drag races, but it will still be making that power at 400,000 miles when the turbocharged competition is on its second engine. For the new 2025 model, here is my buying advice. If you are nervous about the new turbo hybrid powertrain, I understand. Buy a leftover 2024 5th generation if you can find one, or look at certified pre-owned 2020 to 2023 models. They are the sweet spot. A 2021 4Runner SR5 Premium with 50,000 miles is running $33,000 to $37,000. And at that mileage, you are not even through the break-in period for a Toyota drivetrain. If you are willing to go new, a 2025 sitting on the lot with a few thousand off MSRP is a legitimate deal on a vehicle that will likely prove just as durable as its predecessor once the turbo hybrid system has a few years of data behind it. When inspecting a used 5th generation, check these things. First, look at the frame closely, especially if the vehicle lived in the Rust Belt. Toyota had frame rust issues on older models, and while the 5th generation is far better, salt exposure still matters. Second, check for a slight front differential leak. Some 4Runners develop a minor seep at the front differential seal around 100,000 miles. It is a $200 fix and not serious, but it tells you the seller has not been maintaining it. Third, test the crawl control and multi-terrain select if it is a TRD Off-Road or TRD Pro. These systems should engage smoothly. Any warning lights on these systems could indicate a costly repair. Who should buy this? Anyone who wants a vehicle that will be running 15 to 20 years from now with nothing but basic maintenance. Off-road enthusiasts, this is still the benchmark for midsize off-road SUVs. And anyone watching the new 4Runner sit on lots while the market figures out that it is still a 4Runner, meaning it is still one of the most durable things you can buy. Top 5 Toyota Sequoia SUV, I believe, is the single most underrated durable vehicle in America. The data backs it up in a way that will genuinely surprise you. If you have made it this far, this is the one that makes the whole video worth watching. Number 1. The Toyota Sequoia. The Toyota Sequoia is a full-size 3-row body-on-frame SUV with the same drivetrain as the Toyota Tundra, the same engineering philosophy as the Land Cruiser, more interior space than a Tahoe, and it is sitting on dealer lots right now with real money off because people do not know what it is. They think it is a minivan with a truck grille. They think it is the boring Toyota. They have no idea what they are walking past. Here is the number that should stop you cold. According to IC Cars, 14.2% of all used Toyota Sequoias sold had already exceeded 200,000 miles. Let me put that in context. The industry average for SUVs reaching 200,000 miles is 0.9%. The Toyota 4Runner, which is considered one of the most durable SUVs ever made, hits 4.9%. The Land Cruiser is about 11%. The Sequoia beats them all at 14.2%. That is not an opinion. That is the largest sample size mileage study ever conducted on SUVs, telling you that the Sequoia is the single most likely SUV in America to reach 200,000 miles and keep going. Let me tell you about the customer who changed my perspective on this vehicle. About 4 years ago, a retired long-haul trucker brought in a 2008 Sequoia Platinum for an inspection before a cross-country trip. I looked at the odometer, 412,000 miles. I assumed it had been rebuilt. He showed me the Carfax, original engine, original transmission. He had replaced the water pump twice, the alternator once, done timing chain tensioners at 290,000 miles as preventive maintenance, and gone through 6 sets of brakes. Other than that, oil changes every 5,000 miles with full synthetic and transmission fluid changes every 60,000 miles. 412,000 miles on the original drivetrain. I put it on the lift, expecting to find a disaster. What I found was a vehicle that looked like it had 180,000 miles. The frame was solid. The suspension was tight for its age. The exhaust was intact. I told him to enjoy his trip. He sent me a photo from Yellowstone a month later. The Sequoia made it there and back without a hiccup. The second-generation Sequoia from 2008 to 2022 is powered by the 5.7-liter 3UR FE V8. This is the same engine family used in the Tundra and the Land Cruiser 200 series. It produces 381 horsepower and 401 pound-feet of torque through a bulletproof 6-speed automatic transmission. The engine is naturally aspirated with no turbochargers. It uses a timing chain, not a timing belt. It has multi-port fuel injection, not direct injection, which means no carbon buildup on the intake valves. Every design decision Toyota made with this engine prioritized durability over technology gimmicks, and it shows in the data. The 5.7 3UR FE is widely considered one of the most reliable V8 engines Toyota has ever produced. It shares its DNA with the engines that power Land Cruisers running humanitarian convoys across sub-Saharan Africa with 500,000 kilometers on the clock and no rebuilds. This is not marketing, this is engineering with a decades-long track record of surviving the worst conditions on Earth. For the current 2023 and later Sequoia, Toyota moved to a 3.4-liter twin-turbocharged V6 hybrid, making 437 horsepower. This is the same powertrain used in the new Tundra and the new Land Cruiser. It is paired with a 10-speed automatic and comes standard with a hybrid system that Toyota backs with a 10-year, 150,000-mile battery warranty. While this powertrain does not have the decades of data behind it that the 5.7 V8 does, early reports are very promising, and Toyota's hybrid reliability track record across the Prius, Camry, Highlander, and RAV4 is essentially spotless. The new Sequoia starts above $62,000, and that high price tag is exactly why inventory is building. When the average buyer walks onto the lot and sees a Sequoia at $65,000 next to a Tahoe at $58,000, they pick the Chevy because it is the name they know. What they do not realize is that the Sequoia will likely cost thousands less in maintenance over the next decade and hold its value significantly better. Toyota's predicted resale value on the Sequoia outpaces the Tahoe by a wide margin at the 5-year mark. CarEdge estimates first 10-year maintenance costs for the Sequoia at approximately $6,200. Compare that to $8,400 for the Expedition and $9,200 for the Suburban. RepairPal puts the annual maintenance cost at $640, which is lower than the Tahoe, lower than the Armada, and lower than the Expedition. For a full-size V8 equivalent power 3-row SUV with legitimate 500,000-mile potential, $642 a year in maintenance is almost absurd. If you are buying a used second-gen Sequoia with the 5.7-liter V8, here is my checklist. First, check the air injection system. Some 2008 to 2015 models had secondary air injection pump failures that trigger a check engine light. The repair is about $200, but it does not affect drivability. Use it as a negotiation tool. Second, look at the timing chain tensioner. At very high mileages, say 250,000 miles and above, the chain tensioners can wear. Listen for any rattle on cold start. If the engine is quiet on cold start, you are golden. Third, inspect the lower ball joints. The Sequoia is a heavy vehicle, and ball joints wear faster than on lighter SUVs. Plan for replacement around 120,000 to 150,000 miles. Cost is about $400 to $600 for both sides. Fourth, and this is the pro tip, look for fleet Sequoias from rental companies, corporate shuttles, or government agencies. These vehicles were maintained on schedule by mechanics who did not skip services. A former fleet Sequoia with 100,000 miles and full service records is one of the best used vehicle purchases you can make in America right now. Who should buy the Sequoia? Long-distance commuters who want a vehicle that will still be running strong at 300,000, 400,000, or even 500,000 miles. Families who need 3 legitimate rows of seating in a vehicle that will not nickel and dime them with repairs. Towing enthusiasts, the 5.7-liter V8 Sequoia tows up to 7,400 pounds, and the new hybrid tows up to 9,520 pounds. And anyone who has read this far and understands that the 14.2% figure is not a fluke. It is the result of Toyota over-engineering a vehicle and then under-marketing it for 25 years. Who should skip it? If you want something compact and easy to park, the Sequoia is 205 inches long. It is a big vehicle. If fuel economy is your top priority, the older 5.7-liter V8 gets about 14 miles per gallon combined. The new hybrid improves that significantly, but it is still a full-size SUV, not a Prius. And if you want cutting-edge interior technology, the second-gen cabin feels dated compared to newer competitors. The truck will run forever, but the infotainment system will remind you it was designed in 2007. Final summary and call to action. So there it is. 5 SUVs that dealer lots are full of, and mechanics' driveways are full of too. The Ford Expedition, with its proven EcoBoost platform and body-on-frame toughness selling below its actual worth. The Nissan Armada, the patrol in disguise, offering Land Cruiser durability at a fraction of the cost. The Chevrolet Tahoe, with 6 decades of small block V8 heritage and a frame that refuses to quit. The Toyota 4Runner, the most trusted name in off-road durability, now sitting on lots for the first time in memory, and the Toyota Sequoia, statistically the most durable SUV in America, hiding in plain sight while people walk past it to overpay for something that will not make it to 200,000 miles. You now know 5 SUVs that will outlast your mortgage. Next time a salesman tries to push you into a lease return that is one blown turbo away from a $6,000 repair bill, you will know better. Drive safe, maintain your vehicle, and it will maintain your bank account. If this deep dive into the world of high-mileage legends changed the way you look at the vehicles sitting on your local dealer lot, make sure to subscribe and like the video. We are uncovering the automotive truths that the industry often tries to hide. Join our community to stay ahead of the curve and protect your investment. The next treasure in the world of engineering will be revealed soon. Stay tuned.